Yo, Drake, where are you? The Super Bowl is on. Wait, what? Is that tennis? Why are you watching tennis?
I don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to watch some tennis. I've always liked tennis.
This is literally the first time I've seen you watch tennis.
I used to watch my ex play all the time, so I mean, I guess it's a little, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, we're all over here, so if you want to watch it, you can come watch the halftime show. Oh,
What?
yeah, that makes sense.
What are you talking about?
You're still mad about what happened last year, huh?
I don't recall. At least Serena isn't playing today. That's a plus, I guess.
They tell me Chuck the only one to get your hammy
Oh
down.
my God, I can't
playing
believe
with his
you're
nose
playing
down.
that. Oh my
Rocker got
God.
a weird case while he around. Certified lover boy, certified.
Pedophile.
I'm on to it.
Oh my God.
I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a ain't you tired?
Trying to take a chord and it's probably A minor. Oh my God, if I was Drake, I'd be pissed. They not like us.
No.
They not like us.
No.
They not like us. Hey, is that Serena? No, that's Serena. Oh my God.
No, they not like us. Are you mine?
Like I said, the song itself, I knew he gonna play the song.
I do too.
But see, Serena Crip Walker, that
Right.
gave me.
Good afternoon or good evening, everybody in all the social media lands. Welcome back to the F3 Blurcast. Well, I am your host, The Thick Knife, and of course, every week we come at you with some blurred news going on in the world of anime, comics, video games, etc. But I can't do this. I can never do this by myself. So today I have Mr. James here
Hello.
in his lovely hat. Yes, I like that hat. What is that? Okay, so for verification, because it is drawn, is that like a bear hat with the
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, there. And that's cool.
oh, I actually have a
Careful.
shirt I have a shirt that I bought the other day that would go perfect with the hat, actually.
Okay.
And we
Well,
also
this-
have okay, sorry.
No, I'm about to say this send me a link up to
Okay.
the shirt. So I can
Okay.
get-
And we have Mr. Keeman here who is giving us the hey peace sign.
What's going on? What's going on? Sorry, I'm in my car. I
Right.
am traveling. I had a performance today, so I'm heading back to Houston.
Okay. All right.
I had the 7-Eleven buying him some good old snacks.
Okay. And then we have Mr. Papa Warden down here in the bottom, Mr. Cedro with his nasty pig head on. Yes.
My Hulk is red. My cap is black. Reading comprehension is dead. But the blurred council's back.
Bam! Bam! Yes. All right. And hopefully everybody out there is having a nice day today. You had a nice week. Things have not been too hectic. But to get things rolling, okay, so y'all know I love this segment of fuck around and find out. Now today I'm gonna be fast forwarded because I was trying to so me and I know that CapCut. Okay, so I'm gonna start like this. I know CapCut has been around for a long time, but this is my first time using CapCut, and I was just like, I felt like a whole new
What is a
part of my
CapCut?
life. Okay, so CapCut is a app that you can use to like edit videos and cut videos down, and also put them together in a compilation, like one video after another. It's an editing software, basically.
It also
And
got shut down when TikTok got shut down because
It did.
owned
It
by the
did.
same people.
Yeah,
Right.
it did. It did. Hopefully it will.
Piece of paper.
Hopefully it will not happen again because I'm actually loving CapCut for my first time using it because I want to use it in my even in my streaming videos. I want to use it to edit my videos and do things. So hopefully it's stick around, but we know how the government can be sometimes or a lot. But yeah. So in this edition, this black edition, the fuck around to find out, I will be fast forwarding because I tried to compress it as much as I could. It is a long video,
Did you?
so I did. No. Okay, so I could have did a little bit better on the editing, but there were so many parts. I was like, I don't want to leave this out, but hey, it's just it's the excitement in me. Okay, it's the excitement that I had. But
All right, director's good.
without further ado, here we go.
Well, look what the cat dragged in.
Your X-Men face a trial by fire, as do my own recruits. Mutant pitted against mutant. One shall...
Give up and I'll make this quick, Wind Rider. I shouldn't even have to prove myself to him.
Wind Rider.
It's
I
new.
don't know why you have chosen to attack me.
That
And
sounds
in
like
truth,
some pop.
I don't much care.
Well,
This is my home, and you are not welcome here.
It sounds like the name of a superhero from the Invincible universe.
Right. I mean, we've been called Wind Rider, Weather Witch, Mother.
All that
Where did we go?
Tiny bee.
It's a different video.
Right, are we in a new universe?
Yes. This is
Who are the people? Can we get like context and not just thrown into the deep end? What's happening?
Oh, you doing a compilation? Okay.
I did.
I mean,
say that.
he said a compilation, but you didn't say a compilation of multiple people.
Oh,
You made it sound like it was going to be one person, but the scene was so long that you were cutting it up into parts. Not like I'm about to show you a bunch of random people with zero context because I felt like it fit my subject. Like, what is this now?
okay, so I'm going to give you guys the rundown. I do apologize. So first, of course, was X-Men Evolution, Storm versus Mystique. This is the anime canon busters that I wish would have had more longevity, but because enough people did not watch it. Of course, when it comes to Netflix, if enough people don't watch something, they don't get a second season, or they don't get a continuation, or they get canceled. Luckily, this has not been canceled on Netflix yet or been removed. So I don't know where the contract is at the moment, but it's still going.
You can
Okay.
blink on that face and get canceled. Okay.
Oh, right, exactly. The next scene, I believe, if I did it correctly, is Vixen from Justice League Unlimited, and then we have, I think, Canary from Hunter x Hunter, and then Ogon from Fire Force, and then we end again with Storm. So
Okay, and so that 8 minutes is going to be cut down to 3 minutes. How? Like, who's not fucking around and finding out?
oh, I'm sorry, and there's also Blade from the Blade movie, but sorry, but yeah, I am going to fast forward to a lot of this. So
I'm about to say somebody got to sashay away now. We can't
right,
be
yeah, I know.
playing all this.
Not sure what you turd kickers heard,
I only have
but Philly the
3
Kid don't
photos
get
in my
ambushed so
head.
easily.
The girl whose name I do not know
hell, that was my
immediately
boss
returned
back
to the
again.
hotel.
That's nasty. I should
Got
kill
her
you
belongings.
right now just for putting that image in my head.
Don't shoot my babies. Them boys didn't mean no harm. Swear on the backside of my mule.
No? Then how about you, Grandma?
Come on now, you wouldn't harm a hair on the head of a defenseless old woman, would you? I reckon you would at that. They called me Mama Hitch, and these here my boys, Joe Bob and Bob Bob. They're
Not Joe
sweet
Bob and
little
Bob Bob.
things, really. Wouldn't hurt a fly.
I'll be the judge of that.
It's quite the pleasure to meet you, Mother Hitch. I'm Sam, a special associate model all the way from the Kingdom of Boudica. And these are my friends, Philly and Casey.
Oh, crap, are we doing this again?
Don't be mad. She's programmed to be friendly. It's in her nature. You might want to try it sometime.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Sam. Me and my I figured.
Oh, wait, they fucked around and found out?
Well, yeah,
Or-
that was pretty much it. It was just introductions, but yeah, Cannon Busters. As I said last week, just was just it's an enemy about a guy. His character's name is Flea the Kid. He's cursed with immortality, but every time he dies, a number pops up on his body. So we don't know exactly if there's a limit to how many times he can die, and then he can't. Once he's dead, he's perma dead because of the numbers. They never got that far, so yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, and also the girl with him, Sam, she is actually a machine that turns into a cannon buster. When she sees anything above a certain grade of a weapon, like a big old cannon or a mech, she turns into a cannon buster, which is actually a cool transformation scene. So yeah, that anime is actually pretty good. I just wish there was more. Okay. But this, of course, we go to now we go to Vixen from Justice League Unlimited, voiced by Gina Torres.
Dr. Fate called it. Solomon Grundy's back.
The zombie guy? A heavy hitter. I read about him in the files. Aren't all zombies, by definition, dead?
So they were talking at a really normal volume to be traveling like 60 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
They must also have super hearing because like she gone, and was having like a regular conversation. I love it.
John! Come with it then!
Come on, Grundy. That scenario seems unlikely.
Hang on! I'm coming for you! Come on, I'll get you down.
So who's fucking around with her and finding out? The building?
Well, yeah, it's mainly Grundy. They're trying to stop Grundy.
Ah, okay.
I owe you, man. I got 2 new hand blades. I don't know which one to use to kill you with.
Look, I did not have time to label these like I wanted to, but I will in the future.
So sometimes when you don't have time to make something to a quality you want, you wait until you have it where you need it to be. A lot of these are cutting off way before we get
maybe he transition.
Before we find out who's getting found out.
Like they're not finding out anything. We're not.
Well, in this,
okay. So this is Black Appreciation.
Yeah, pretty much.
He just wanted a compilation of strong black characters, but put it under the guise of his F around and find out segment.
Right.
But we had to go through 4 of these to figure that part out.
Ooh. This thing was so funny. This
roundhouse kick.
And now we have Canary from Hunter x Hunter.
My swords have many swords. So does my mouth.
Echo step. And she did all that with a cane.
Give him the forecast.
Wait, so was the first clip for Mystique or for Storm? Because it seems like you double dipped in the Storm.
I did.
You double dipped the chip.
Yeah.
Ancient sands, heed my command and reclaim these.
I should have been more specific with my "What are you surprising us with?" question.
Surprise, surprise.
I'm about to say that. Surprise, surprise.
I can't lift my leg up, but you get the reference.
Right.
Wow. For your first attempt at CapCut?
Yes, my
see
first
me
attempt.
see me after class.
See,
You just have to work on transitions, baby.
I know.
Jesus.
God,
what a
y'all-
wild ride that was. I love
Okay. Okay, you gave me whiplash for some more.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Also, I think we all need to put the veto out that at least for the next like 10 of these, you can't choose someone from the X-Men as a potential character. You not only gave us 2 of Storm in this, but we also had Jean Grey. I feel like we've had too many X-Men. We need to find some other strong people that aren't related to Charles Xavier or Magneto.
Right.
Okay.
We understand.
And we
that
need
you
to
love
figure
the
out how they
X-Men
found out.
We need to figure out how they fucked around because all of these people, all of these clips, the best we got was how they found out. We didn't know anything about what they effed around with. But yes, they are all strong Black characters. Congratulations on showing us those.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're gonna move on to because there was a state of play this week, and we got some relooks at some video games, but we also got some new ones, a lot of new ones that dropped. So, Mr. James, if you please.
Which ones you want me to play? That was a lot.
Oh, just the first one you got.
Okay. So we're going through all of them. Okay, I didn't want to make sure.
Last winter, we were up on Farewell Ridge. We're watching the freaks.
Brokeback Mountain.
Thousands of them, I mean, too many to count.
Did you say what?
All I could think was every one of us.
He said they were up
man,
on
woman,
Brokeback
child,
Mountain, right?
Are now.
No.
What belongs to them now?
Imagine that game.
Bring it! We'll survive.
This is Days Gone remastered.
Yeah.
Right.
I could have put Sarah on a chopper.
Could have been 2 sentences. What
is that?
What is the other state of play?
Take it all back.
Yeah.
We're seeing today.
Actually, you can
Billions of people are dead.
yeah, you
but
can
somehow
stop
she
this one right here because
Okay.
all they did was remaster it and add features that they added the unlockables so that if you already have Days Gone, the upgrade is free, basically. But they added the unlockables that you had to I think either hit behind the paywall or you did certain things in the game, you got them. I think you get a better gun, better guns, and better life. That's pretty much about it. But honestly, I wish that game had got a sequel, but it unfortunately did not. And I understand why it didn't, but I still felt like they could have at least gave DLC or something. But I mean, I actually enjoyed the game. I do. Because I played it. I need to finish it. But I'm stuck at this one part where you get hoarded so badly that if you die too fast. So I have to figure out a way around that. All right, on to the next one.
Okay. This is Liza P.
The P, yeah. The DLC? Yeah.
Yeah.
How can it be winter all of a sudden?
I'm sorry. You want to know the year? What a pleasure to meet a stalker worthy of the name. It's been far, far too long.
Oh, my forever friend. Help me to hold your hand and dance.
You're not the puppet I was expecting. Who are you?
She was looking for someone. Legendary.
So did you play this?
I played the demo.
No one else could.
I didn't play the full game yet.
I'll do whatever it takes. Your survival is all that matters. Nothing else comes close, not even my life. I swear I won't be late. Not again.
Yeah, so it's a solid game, but you also have to really be a Dark Souls like
Yeah.
fan. Like very much so. Because that game is just it's just like those types of games in that the combat is very unforgiving.
It is.
Like it's very specific, and if you don't do that specific thing in a very specific moment with very precise timing, you will get wrecked.
Yes. You know what? It reminded me so much of because Bloodborne is another one where the combat is, if you don't do something correctly or at a good time, it is unforgiving because you do get swarmed. It depends on where you are. Like the part of Bloodborne that I am in, it's still the beginning, but I'm outside the city now, and there's like danger to the left, danger to the right. There's danger all around, and I'm like, okay, which it's like that. But if I take the wrong path or I come across another path, I can get swarmed. And yeah, the combat is not as forgiving as it is. And it says something like Wukong, you know. So yeah. But Liza P, aka Steampunk Pinocchio, does remind me a lot of Bloodborne too. So
go to the next one. Hold on.
What is the next one?
And how many more next ones?
We have a lot. That's why I said.
That's why I'm asking the names so we can,
Okay, we got Welcome to the Island, Ami Musha, Borderlands 4, Mind's Eye, Soros, Saros, Soros. Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater.
Okay, that's just a remaster.
Okay, Tides of Annihilation.
Okay, go to Welcome to the Island. Next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we cut this to like 3? So like Welcome to the Island sounds fine. A lot of these are sort of remakes or reboots or things that can sort of just be discussed as opposed to watched. I would say that Mind's Eye and Tides of Annihilation, since they're both new games, those will probably work the best after the Welcome to the Island thing. But the
Okay.
rest of them with like Snake, I mean, with a Solid Snake or like
Yeah.
that's just that's a 2 sentence. It's coming. Be ready for it type of thing. More than
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only one I wanted to show was Lost Souls Aside.
Yeah.
So okay, so we're doing Lost Souls Aside. We're doing Welcome to the Island, and what else?
Mind's Eye.
Mind's
Tides of
Eye.
Annihilation.
Okay, okay. We can do Welcome to the Island next.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I'm here to give you an exclusive first look in the future of the WWE 2K franchise.
Yep.
Introducing the Island. With the Island, players enter an online environment filled with WWE-themed landmarks, quests, live events, and shops with up to 50 other players at a time. The Island also offers deep customization, giving players the chance to personalize their My Superstars.
So that means you're gonna spend a lot of money on costumes. That's what that means.
Yes, live service and
as the first of its kind for the franchise.
Paywall,
the
it's
Island
great.
is
Right.
not just an
Pretty
addition,
much.
It's a bold step toward the future. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the
You want to dress like your favorite character? Cough up the money.
Or it may be unlocked in game because I'm starting to see a lot of people get away from the whole live service or microtransactions because they're starting to realize they don't
They're
work.
not. They are not. This I can confirm to you that the research
I mean,
that I've done on the game, it
I
is
know.
absolutely going to be you have to pay for
Yeah.
this stuff. Like it's they're trying to get more money.
Cause they going towards it because they can charge you more with little stuff. Let's see.
Yes. You want your
Next
character
one.
to look exactly like they normally should look?
Just
What's
pay
your
the
wallet
money.
look like?
Right.
Like,
You
how
don't
can
need
we
to pay
be
your
Fort?
electric? You don't need to pay your electricity bill.
Right. How
You
can
need
we
to make
be
sure Roman
Fortnite?
Reigns has his leather vest.
Right. How can we be more like Fortnite without being Fortnite? Let's charge for everything. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, if you want this character, you won't have to buy it.
Okay. On to the next.
Okay. Get that money grab. Okay, Mind's Eye. Next.
This one, I'm not really sure what to think about it. It kind of has like a GTA. What is the Just Cause? Do you guys remember that game?
Yep. Just Cause. I'm about to say that.
Yeah, it's like a.
That's a nice
like
one.
it clearly shows some like you're driving the vehicle scenes. You're in like not really sure how open world it's gonna be, or
Right.
how like maybe level oriented or focused it might be. But it's got some things going on. It's got some things going on that hit some of the general things. I think if you like GTA, you have the potential of enjoying this game. The Just Cause games.
It's giving very Division meets GTA.
Mind's Eye.
Speaking of Just Cause, they just greenlit production for a live-action Just Cause movie.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
So that is in the works. I'm not sure if it's going to actually happen. We all know how production hells can occur.
Right.
But it has been greenlit. So I'm curious whom they're going to get to play Rico. The protagonist of that, and then I'm also kind of curious as to like which Just Cause are they because there's like 4 of them. So, like, which one are they gonna try to tie? Personally, I think the third one is the best,
Right.
where you have to like
Well,
liberate the island, the whole island, and you get to travel around to like the different parts of the island and stuff and do missions. Like that was probably the first. That was probably the first third person, like open world game that I've ever 100%ed. Like collected everything, got everything that
mhm.
you were supposed to get, etc. So that has a special place for me. I'm interested more in this Just Cause movie than I was in uh, Tom Holland.
Uncharted.
Yeah, the Uncharted. Sorry, the Uncharted movies. One, because I never really played the Uncharted games.
Right.
They didn't hit for me like that. I thought that they were cool, like to watch some of the elements and the action
Yeah.
sort of cinematic scenes that you were also interactive. I thought that was really cool. They've done a lot for games since then because pretty much every
Yeah.
game that comes out that does action takes
Mhm.
elements from the way Uncharted did stuff in certain
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
So respect to them for that, but I was not interested in the movie. When the movie actually came out, I was less interested after watching the movie.
You know what? I've seen it once, and that was it for me. I was just like, oh, okay.
I mean,
At the
the thing.
end, I mean, I enjoyed what they tried to do. I enjoyed what they did, and also what they tried to do. But for me, it was just like, oh, this is a one and done. Yeah, I'm good. I remember.
I mean, that's kind of the downfall of these kind of movies is that
Mhm.
the game is already like a playable movie.
Mhm.
So a lot of people are like, well, I already know some of the story because
Yeah.
you can play like Uncharted is just like a storytelling movie with some playable aspects of it. So some
Mhm.
people are like, well, I need to watch the movie. Not everyone, a lot of people don't play Uncharted, so the movie was like their first entryway into the series. But
Mhm.
people who played the game was like,
What's
why I go
this?
see them? Right. Why I
And people
watch
who
the
watched
movie?
it were like, "What is this?"
Right. Well, I can go home and just play the game and get the same effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Right.
that those games give you a much clearer through line to making a good movie.
Mhm.
Because sometimes you get these movies from video games and you're like, how did you even come up with a movie from this? Or like the plot of this game is not something that you could really just make a movie from, and they do it anyway, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Like Assassin's Creed, for example. Um it's kind of like, yes, it has some elements that are film like, but the game itself is so extensive that
Mhm.
like it's really hard to fit all of that into a 2-hour movie.
Right.
It's rare that you get those games. And so to your point, like I think Uncharted, because it works and flows like a movie almost,
Mhm.
that you
Mhm.
just get to play parts of,
Mhm.
it lends itself to being a movie better. I just think they lost something in the translation between the game and the actual movie they came out with. Also,
Mhm.
because I think that they were trying to hire named people.
Yeah.
And
It.
not only that, was I believe Mark Wahlberg was also
Yeah.
like pushing the studios to make this movie and he wanted to be a part of it. And so sometimes that type of stuff can ruin things too.
It.
And when you're that big of a name and you have that amount of like clout and pull to be able to get these things to flow in your favor,
Mhm.
sometimes you can ruin it because you like it so much, but you also want to be a part of it in a way that like
Mhm.
maybe he could have just been an executive producer that never showed up and they
Right.
spent more time trying to hire people that actually
And,
would do the roles best.
right, and they could have got somebody else to play Sully other than him.
Yeah. Like not every movie is going to succeed because of those factors, and not every studio is going to put their foot down and say no to certain artistic choices as far as casting. For example, like the first season, I believe, of Captain Planet. The first season of Captain Planet, Tom Cruise voiced Captain Planet.
Oh, I
But
did
for
not
like the
know that.
rest of the seasons of Captain Planet, he didn't, because after the first season, he tried to get more creative control on the subject matter of the episodes, and the studio was like, no,
nobody.
And they got rid of him and replaced him with somebody else.
Exactly.
But like a little known
They
fact
should
about
have.
Captain Planet is like Tom Cruise was Captain Planet
Oh,
for a little bit. Just like the first. Well, this was a little different because it wasn't anybody trying to ask for more creative control, but like the first season of As Told by Ginger, the theme song was sung by Cree Summer.
Oh.
But then they changed it to Macy Gray like afterwards.
Right.
But yeah. So, but it's like one of these little things that you never really notice in the beginning. You just sort of watch the show and it sort of comes along later. But
Right.
sometimes
So, like
these
me.
creative control things can be really problematic. And so I think in that case, what we were talking about before, like that was a case of like it being problematic. And so Uncharted just felt like a discount National Treasure.
Okay.
Or like Indiana Jones Jr.
Right.
Which actually was a series.
It was. And you know they had, and back in the day they had a cartoon called James Bond Jr.
Yes. Oh, James Bond Jr.
Jr.
Like, oh, yes.
Well, like I said, they tried like the male version of Laura Croft.
Yeah, pretty much.
The movie.
Yeah.
Which
And the thing is, we're supposed to be getting a sequel to the Tomb Raider movie as well with the same actress from the more recent games.
Oh, I forgot they did that.
Yeah.
Alicia? They're doing Alicia Vikander again? Okay. Interesting.
I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Oh, I didn't.
I didn't either.
The reason why the reason I understand what you mean. And in that regard, I think I put it in a separate place. Like I compartmentalize it a little different. But the reason why I don't forget it is because anytime somebody, like as a super nerd, a gamer or whatnot, every time somebody talks about video game adapted into a movie and like what are the worst ones, it always it's on that list for me. So I don't forget it just because it registered as so bad to me that it's like I can't forget it. It's not like a Morbius where it was meh and I can just sort of pretend like it never existed. But Madam Web, Tomb Raider, there's just certain things that are a little. I'll say that I didn't dislike her though. Like I don't think she was bad as Lara Croft. I just think the movie itself had so many
sometimes it is the writing
problems, and it
Yeah.
tried to do so much to be like the newer video game that I felt like it sort of did a disservice to the original video games.
Yeah.
Like it was trying so hard to be like, well, we're not going to do the busty breasts and the ill-proportioned body and the scantily clad wardrobe and the pixelated, boxy character shape. Like, of course we're not going to do that. It's live action, but there's a part of me that feels like at least the Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie were better than this.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Fantastic Four movies. Like Fantastic Four, Rise of Silver Surfer were not great movies. Like they were iconic for the time. They're memorable in certain ways, but they weren't great movies. They weren't even really good movies, but they were better than Fan Four Stick. To me, this is the same sort of thing. Like the two movies that Angelina Jolie did for Tomb Raider were not good movies.
No.
But they were better than whatever this last thing was.
They were fun.
Right. At least
they were fun movies.
Yeah. But people and to this day, people still say that the most ridiculous thing out of was it the first one where she punched the shark in the nose, a CGI shark in the nose, and it just they were like, this is the most ridiculous jump. I guess they call it it's not really a jump to shark moment, but they said it's one of the most ridiculous scenes they've seen in the movie.
It's interesting that they say that for that scene when we also had Batman 66. He pulled out a can of bat repellent. I mean, of shark
repellent. Yeah.
So I don't know, punching a shark in the nose versus pulling out a can of shark repellent spray and spraying it on a helicopter ladder.
Yeah.
Look, I guess Batman 66, we get it. Like that's a kooky time. And so we accept all of the canon.
Right.
But,
And you know the joke was back in the day that Batman have everything in his belt.
Right. Yep. That's
so
what
that
it
was a joke. Like Mary's
always,
Poppins bag.
He's always prepared for everything.
Right.
That's his superpower.
Right.
White privilege.
Okay, we got to move on now to the next game. Tales of Annihilation.
Tides.
Sorry.
No one knows how that.
So this one to me had like a sort of a near.
It devoured everything
automata.
from the past.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with it.
Only I was left.
With like Bayonetta.
That was a fatal mistake.
It's the aura of the Grail pieces. I can sense it.
You know, I'm always down for a nice high fantasy, a dark high fantasy.
Right.
And we got Godzilla. I'm just kidding.
and a lot of times, games like this are always end up being like turn-based fighting. And so I'm glad that this game is not, because it feels a little bit more like.
It has a lot of ominous scenery though. Like this is ominous. Like the clips are ominous as fuck.
And even like and the fighting sequences and stuff are very, very near, very Bayonetta.
This is a race only for the king.
It gives me very MMORPG kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Gwendolyn, this is your final warning.
Ooh. Okay.
My quarrel lies not with
See,
you.
the villains always got the cool
But I
attack.
will take
Right,
back
okay.
everything that belongs to me. Even if the price is my soul.
I need to get me a Steam Deck. Everything going to
The table
Steam.
is dead. It exists no more.
You know, I feel like if you're a real action gamer,
Yes, I love games.
if you're a real action gamer, you always appreciate a badass woman walking into a spot
Of
and blowing
course.
it up.
And just fucking shit up. Yes.
So you know, I looked at this, I was like, okay, I think this might have some potential to be kind of fun. You know, it has seemed like some platformy elements, some arcadey elements, which is why I feel like the Bayonetta Nier comp works pretty well, because both of those games have like multiple different gaming type elements mixed in with the occasional like action sequences and stuff. So I don't even care about the story. And that's rare for me for a game nowadays. I was like, I don't care about the story. The action looks decent enough that I'm like, I'll just play this. Like the story could be complete trash, and I'm like, but look what I can do with this sword.
Right. Like Forsaken trash.
see, but the difference the funny thing about what you say about Forsaken was just like when we saw this main character in this game fighting Mordred, the blonde chick and the white whatever, and she floated up in the air and then shot down all of these like angel projectile or whatever divine light holy attacks, holy arrows or something. You were like, why do the villains get all the good attacks, right?
Right.
I think the one thing that I'll give Forsaken is that it was like too ambitious, which I prefer in a game than being too safe. And the main character had a lot of like boss level attacks.
Yeah.
Like Like I'm sitting here
Which is
fighting
cool.
like large groups of enemies and raining magma down on them or causing like an entire thunderstorm. Like so for as bad as a lot of other elements in that game were, like sometimes the
Right.
landscapes were just a little too drab. They didn't really have much going on.
Mhm.
We understand that the land was like plagued by a blight or curse or whatever, but like it just felt a little too empty. And the story was fine. The dialogue was just
Was horrible,
trash.
baby.
It was so bad. But the powers, I really like the fighting in Forsaken. The sad thing about Forsaken is that like so much else about it just didn't fall right. And it sort of overshadowed the fact that skating around at high speeds on like magic energy and flipping and throwing like magma and fire and electricity and water and like you had a literal attacks where you could like hit something and trap it in a large water ball until it drowns, or if it doesn't drown it explodes and causes more damage to other things. Like the attacks and the level and amount of attacks and special like abilities and stuff I thought was really awesome. That's the reason why for me, if they decided to ever do a Forsaken 2 or a continuation of some game, maybe not even Forsaken World, but like same studio, and they incorporate some of that skill tree action magic stuff into their
Yeah.
next game, I would totally be down for it. It
Right.
was probably one of the best action sort of flow that I've had and felt really excited about in a game, which is
Right.
why the rest of it disappointed me so much. 'Cause I
Right.
was like, I really want this game to
That's
be
the
great.
thing about me. With high fantasy, you gotta have good voice acting. I'm sorry. Cause if you want me to believe in this world and be in this world, you gotta have some decent voice acting.
Yeah, it was and so I'll say this. I don't actually think the voice acting was a problem. I really just think it was the dialogue, like the script writing. I think the people who were casted were fine. I just think if you analyze what they were saying in their dialogue, it was just so it was so basic, it was so rudimentary. Sometimes it made zero sense. Sometimes it was like too on the nose and too predictable or like just too basic. And when you do that, you do compromise some aspects of the voice acting because what can these actors do when the dialogue is this?
The voice acting is like if AI tried to sound human. Basically. Like
wow.
You're like, like AI can't get the nuance of certain things you say. You're like,
It was like if AI wrote the script. It's
Right.
like we need these
Like-
things to happen, write us a script because some of the stuff was like they also tried to be a little too perfect example. When you were in your teens or early 20s and you interacted with people that were like in their 40s and 50s, maybe even 60s, but they caught themselves like being young at heart or young, and so they tried to be up to date on the newest slang or the newest things to sort of relate to the young people, but they didn't. And it wasn't just because they were old or looked old and it felt weird. It was like they weren't even using the things right, or they were
Correctly.
slightly off, right?
Right.
That feeling is the feeling I got from the dialogue in that game.
Right.
Where it was like there were sometimes like the moments where she would do something and she was talking to the bracelet. For spoilers for anybody who's never played the game, she has a talking magical bracelet. I won't give you any more spoilers than that. But she has this talking bracelet that like helps her out and gives her instruction. It's one of the ways in this open world game, like many open world games, that you get the ability to get tutorials or understand how to implement your power or your abilities is through this talking bracelet. But they also have dialogue that happens between them throughout the whole game and in movie cutscenes and stuff. There's a scene where she does magic like for the first time, and she is talking to the bracelet, and she's like, "Did you see that? I just fucking did that," or whatever she says, and she's like weirdly cursing, but it sounds so weird. Like it doesn't make sense. It's almost like somebody's trying to throw in curse words to be like, let's seem edgy and cool and appeal to the
What does
younger
the
people.
teen say?
But the dialogue just feels like someone completely out of touch and tone deaf to that, trying to pretend to sound like someone that's younger.
Are you talking about Forspoken?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because at first y'all said Forsaken. I was like, what the hell is Forsaken?
Oh yeah, we were fucking it up completely.
Okay. I'm like, what the hell?
We were trying to.
I was thinking about the vampire movie for a minute. I was like,
I'm sitting up here like, is this a game I ain't never heard of? What's the Forsaken?
But then, so the other problem, to James's point about the voice acting for Spoken, is the main character is supposed to be a girl from New York. And the actor playing her is a British woman. And so sometimes the things that I think we notice sometimes, and it just feels a little off, we don't quite pinpoint, like we can't quite pinpoint the specifics, is like there's some British people can imitate an American English accent, but they can't quite get right the rhythm, the natural rhythm with which Americans speak their English. It's just like if we tried to imitate a British accent, you'd also have to know how British people generally speak, the rhythm of their speech, not just how to say a word like they say it, because you will stand out. And so I do think there are a lot of times in the dialogue for her where it just sounded stiffer than an American would speak it, especially a young girl who's grown up in New York, to sound like such a generic American female voice. Like you said, like to your point again, James, about like the AI trying to sound human. It was like somebody turned the Siri voice onto American and you just pretended. And so some of it was just very, very stiff. Again, disappointing. But the action, man. And you know that's not normally me. Normally I'm like, no, the whole thing has to be great. But I need that action in another game.
Right.
I need
agree
that
with
action flow in another game. I need it now. Like how many times have you ever played a game where the main character, and there's not like you can choose a bunch of classes, so it's not like a traditional RPG, but like the main character is just a mage.
Right, true.
Right, yeah.
Like normally it's like you have to have the close combat, whatever. It's like, no, everything she did was just magic. That's it. And you got to, the magical parkour, loved it. Tell me y'all didn't like skating across the landscape.
I love it.
Yeah, like I said, it was a fun game. Like I said, just with fantasy, you have to have good dialogue, and that dialogue was so horrible.
It was. Or at least believable dialogue, even if it's not good. Because sometimes, like, you'll be in this medieval fantasy, and everybody will talk and sort of, "My good sir, whatever do you mean?" Like, and so sometimes it could be a little campy, but as long as it's believable for where you are,
right.
And that game had a lot working against it because you're trying to do like a Wizard of Oz thing where you're plucking a girl out of a place and putting her in a fantasy land where she now has to save everybody. Like, it was doing a lot.
Could you imagine if it just had been a movie instead? Oh gosh, it would have been worse.
Well, actually,
okay.
I think they could have done a better job with the movie because it could have been like a series. Like I think they could have made this a series that was actually pretty interesting. Honestly,
okay.
You know, the first movie, she's New York dealing with her shit. You know, got her cat, whatever, and then she gets plucked into this world where suddenly, like, she finds out. I don't want to spoil it for people that might want to play, but where she finds out some things and she has magic abilities, and so I think I think that could actually work pretty well.
And for PS Plus members, the game is free. So, if you don't want to spend money on it and you're a PS Plus member, there you go.
You will enjoy the action.
Yes.
The rest of it might disappoint you.
I would say, yeah, that's a good way of saying, yeah. I will go with that assessment. Yeah, the action is pretty good. It is.
Oh, I have a random question.
What's up?
Have you guys, and feel free to not answer if you don't want to, have you guys played the Harry Potter game?
No.
No.
I haven't.
Just wanted to know.
All right. So let's
Right, but just wanted to know for what? Like that's
because I've never played it, but I don't know anybody that I don't. The reason I asked is because I don't know anybody that I know personally that's played it, and so I've been asking people like, "Have you played it?" Because I know nothing. Like I don't have any information except for what's on YouTube.
Yeah, I do know people that have played it, and I've seen gameplay. And honestly, I do think it's one of those games that has like a good gameplay and action and everything. But you know, I was just like, you know what, I'm
background.
I'm gonna sit this one out. But moving on to our next game. And then after this we'll do I think Sorrow was like a teaser. Balin Latrell card says Hogwarts Legacy is fun, but it gets a little repetitive after a while. Yeah, most games like that do, unfortunately.
Okay, this is the last one. This is
Lost Souls Aside.
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep having the same dream. A horrible dream. Where monsters invade our world. A powerful being falls from the sky.
Oh, she's sleeping on cobblestones. You know her dreams are serious.
All right.
She just passed her like Jean Grey in the street.
Well, she got a good reason.
Yeah.
Come, Kaiser. We will travel across worlds, leap through dimensions, together. I see great power within you, a destiny waiting to be fulfilled. Let me be your vengeance, the blade in your hand. Wanted to be a hero. But for humanity's sake, you must.
Then give me your power, Arena.
I would play that.
Real-time action JRPG.
Not bad. I would play that, yes.
Like I say, high fantasy. Love fun.
And the weapon talks to you like in Forspoken.
Forspoken. Why I keep saying Forsaken? Forspoken.
I don't know. Why have me over here looking like? Stop it! Stop. No, but y'all really had me over here like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm like crazy. What the hell is it for?
Well, you get somewhat of a gliding effect in this game. And a flying. But
yeah.
You just cracked up over there, ain't you?
Oh no, I was
Something you felt?
Oh,
I hate you. But anyway, no, I was sipping, and then Cedro caught me off, and I was like, okay, I didn't want to accidentally, you know what? Never
Drown?
mind. No, I didn't. I was accidentally swallow and choke.
Accidentally swallow and choke.
Because I was laughing.
Well.
You know what? I didn't want to say that at first because I knew you was going. You know what? Let's keep going.
Sounds like a spicy thing to me.
So you didn't want to accidentally swallow, which means that you wanted to purposefully swallow. So you swallow.
Hey,
After I finished
sounds like
laughing, yes, I did.
Sounds like a great time to me. Hey,
You
I
did.
need you to, you know. Hey,
You just keep walking through that door, honey.
oh, Devon.
It was going to happen. No matter what I said, it was going to happen. So I was like, you know what? Just fuck it.
I mean, that's how it usually happens, right?
Well,
anyway, back to the Lost Souls Aside game that we just looked at. What are your thoughts, James?
Well, like I said, this is up my alley because it's RPG, high fantasy. Love the design. Love the well, with any game like this, the bosses are amazing. The bosses always look amazing. The movement is what I like. You can fly, you can glide. The fighting looks so good where you can like this teleport effect. Where you can dodge and teleport and make clones of yourself. That's I can't wait to play this game.
Right.
Shadow
like
clone
Cedro-
jutsu.
Yeah, like Cedro said, anywhere I can do cool stuff.
Yes, like that. Yes,
in a game.
Shut up and take my money.
Right.
Before we go on to our last one, I think Sorrows was just a teaser, but it looked interesting. I do want to show that one. Before we move on to the last one, Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed until March 10th or 20th. It was delayed, which I don't know why, but it was. So I was like,
it's too black.
I was so looking forward to like playing it this month and Black History Month and having our first Black. I'm just like, what the? Because I went to GameStop, I was like, what the fuck? Like y'all don't want to give us too much blackness in our month. We get it. We understand.
you know, DI.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is the last trailer.
Yeah.
The actual last trailer.
The actual last trailer. Yes.
Because we have an editing problem.
Yeah. We gotta get to this.
Have
movie.
an editing problem. And by we, I mean Devon. Don't choke.
It always comes back to this.
Oh, does it?
This world, this moment, this choice.
He accidentally swallowed.
Oh, Cedro, please.
What do you think that ocean water is made of?
A lot of
Every time
things.
the sun dies, madness reigns. Then everything begins again.
Uh-oh. What the hell?
It's giving
It's like Returnal.
Yeah, it is like Returnal. Yeah.
Come back stronger.
Yeah, I think it's made from the same studio as Returnal too.
I know that you are here.
Or at least the same people.
Yeah, same people. Yeah.
Not Doctor Strange with the arm.
Yeah.
It's an arcade shooter in which you like death sort of repeats you in certain ways, or you have
Yeah.
to. It's similar in the way that Returnal played out. Very
Yeah.
arcadey in that your enemies or the bosses, it's kind of like Nier, where they send out. I don't remember what that term is called, but the bosses will send out a bunch of like beams of
horde?
light or energy in different patterns and swirls, and you have to like weave your way through them while attacking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah,
what the little thing that they gave you a glimpse of in the reflection in his eye
Mhm.
was like showing you that this game is going to have that element to it too. If you like those sort of 3D arcadey shooters, third person, you'll probably enjoy this too. Like if you liked Returnal was an actually decent game. Like I don't think it was a bad game at all. It's just not quite my steez. But if you like that, you'll probably like this too. It looks dark enough to pull you in. I feel like if the visuals are smooth enough and the action is smooth enough, it'll be a solid game.
Yeah. Pretty much Returnal's cousin. But we're gonna move on. But while I refresh my drink, we're gonna we're gonna move on to Captain America: Brave New World, and I'm going to go refresh my drink, and you guys can get that started. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
A refreshing drink.
I'm going to refresh the drink I accidentally
That I almost swallowed. Yeah, I almost swallowed.
I'm sorry, he didn't want to accidentally swallow, so the swallowing was purposeful.
Of course. You have to let us know.
So, Captain America: Brave New World. Was it brave? Was it new?
Was it worldly?
What does the world think about that?
Right.
I will say I'll start off by doing this. Let's go around and give it a did you enjoy it? Numerical value out of 10. Decimal places count. And maybe a grade, like a letter grade score.
Okay.
Keeman?
It's gonna be 7 for me.
Okay.
My letter grade would be a B.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. It was pretty good.
We can go into any details in a moment. I'm just trying to get like the base sort of like. Did you like it? Numerical.
Yeah, it was. I liked it. I'll say that. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
James?
Like 6.5 for me. Letter grade probably a B minus.
Okay.
And it was good, not great. For me, it was good.
Okay, so the question is, did you enjoy it? Not what you felt about whether it was good or not. It was like, did you enjoy your time at the movies watching it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Just sort of base level, did you walk out being like, I didn't waste my time? Did you enjoy it? Right.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, it seems like you both did. That works.
Yes.
I'll give Mr. Accidental Swallow a moment to reacclimate while I give my response. I enjoyed it. I definitely walked out of the theater feeling like I didn't waste my time having watched it. That being said, I think I'll give a range for the numerical score. I think the movie ranged for me between like a 6.5 and like an 8.
Okay.
More so on the 6.5 to like 7 side than the other side. Score, letter score. I should probably do a range on that too, but I'll say it was a B. I won't put it lower than that because I feel like a lot of the things that detracted from it being solid or more solid were more out of its control than I'll like put more blame on the actual project itself.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll say that. Have you been hearing the parameters, Devon, of what we're doing? So it's a numerical score, letter grade, and did you enjoy it?
So
Before we get into the details.
So per my post on Facebook, I gave it a B plus. On a numeric scale, I would say it's an 8 to about an 8. Oh no, I'll give it 8.5. 8.5 for me. And did I enjoy it? Yes, I did. Very much so. I felt like I did not waste my money or my time. I went straight after work to the movie, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did.
Okay. I think the next thing to do is probably sticking on the positive side of it. Let's try to go around and say maybe 2 things that you felt worked well for the movie. And maybe let's try not to repeat each other. So like if like somebody goes and they say 2 things, like try to find 2 other things if you can. It's fine to like also agree with them, but I mean like let's try to see if we can figure out 8 things that worked well for this movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anybody want to start?
I'll go.
Specifically? Okay. Keeman?
I'm gonna lose. I don't really remember his name, but I'll say I enjoyed Captain America and Falcon's partnership. I'll call him Falcon because I don't remember his name.
Joaquin?
Joaquin. Thank
Torres.
you. Torres. Yes, Joaquin Torres. I enjoyed their chemistry, and their relationship in the film. So that's 1. Enjoyed that. And 2, let's see here. I enjoyed Harrison Ford as himself and / the Hulk, because Harrison Ford is amazing in what he does. But yes, those are the 2 things that I enjoyed. I enjoyed his little switch up, how he was like, I need you to, I don't need you. Like that real president type of attitude, I'll say.
Okay. All right. So Harrison Ford's portrayal, I guess, is what you're saying, and then
yes.
And then the chemistry or camaraderie between Sam and Joaquin's characters. Okay, that's solid. What do you? How do you feel, Devon? What are your 2 things? What 2 things work for you?
The 2 things that worked for me was, 1 was the action. I do like the action scenes. They work for me very well, especially the when he landed and it said wait for it, and then the boom happened. I like that part. And also the when his wings caught that kinetic energy like Black Panther's suit and he then released it. I was like, very Wakanda, but yes. But, I mean, his suit is from Wakanda, so it is vibranium. But I was just like, I'm glad they kept that feature in there for him, or more so Shuri did. But yeah.
It's also kind of smarter too because he is just a person. So like he's going to take a lot of hits. So it's nice to have like technology that uses the hits you take as energy to help you fight. But yeah, I'm sorry. Your second thing?
And my second thing that actually did work for me, as convoluted as it was at times, was the actual story. Yeah.
Okay. So that worked for you. Got it. We'll go back to the convolution later. But James, what are two other things that worked for you?
Let me see. What's his name? Okay. What worked for me, Elijah Bradley worked for me. His acting was very good.
Yes, Carl Lumbly?
Yes.
The actor, yeah. It's the actor that plays him, but yes. He was excellent.
The second thing, it's kind of going off of Devon Soda. I like how they incorporate the suit to fit the new Captain America.
Okay.
Because realizing that he doesn't have powers, they gave him little tricks and little devices to help him out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, well, we're not gonna get that far. I'm not gonna get too much into it because that's gonna get further into the story. But I like how the devices and the suit, how it fits him. I say that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my two things.
Okay.
Okay. All of those are good things. It actually makes it not necessarily difficult, but it makes it a little it's a little tighter to figure out two other things besides those that work. I very much agree with you, James, on Elijah Bradley. Like every scene he was in was great for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree with Keeman that like Harrison Ford, every scene that he was in was also great for the movie. Okay, so what I do think worked for the most part in this movie, two things, is the incorporation of tying up some loose ends from Eternals and the Incredible Hulk. I do think that worked. I think I'll make that one thing. I think the other thing that worked for this movie was how they treated Sam Wilson's character throughout the movie. I do think that worked. Like I think Sam Wilson himself worked really well in this movie, especially to show us how he takes up the mantle of Captain America. Also, how he's different than Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes him specifically different besides not taking the serum, et cetera, et cetera. I think that they did a good job of realistically enough, having a regular man in a super suit trying to deal with some things that were even honestly larger than Steve Rogers had to deal with in his like first few outings.
Right.
To deal with these things as just a man. And I do like the fact that to that end, how the end of the story sort of, when Joaquin, I think, and he were talking to each other in the hospital. And I think Joaquin was like, I looked up to you. Like, I look up to you. I want to be you. And so the idea that someone like, this is a very weird example, but bear with me. It's sort of like the difference between how kids want to be, how some kids look up to LeBron James versus like how some kids look up to Steph Curry, or some younger people look up to Steph Curry, in the sense where LeBron James is a 6'8" phenom of a person that has been doing his job at a very high level for over 20 years professionally.
Mm-hmm.
That is not something that the average person can aspire to. Whereas like Steph Curry, yes, he's still also a great player. He's a tall person himself. I mean, not super tall by basketball standards, but he's like 6'2", 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
And he can shoot the ball. Like his known thing is like he can shoot the ball from pretty much anywhere, especially distance. And that is sort of like a more accessible thing because Steph appears a little more human than LeBron does, because LeBron is actually like a physical, hulking specimen of a human being in his athleticism and a lot of other things. Whereas like Steph seems a little less athletic, but has the mindset, the sharpshooting eye, etc., to be very good at something that most people feel like they could also be good at. I do think that in ways that Sam Wilson appeals in that aspect more than Steve Rogers. Because Steve Rogers' story, even though he started off as a small guy, like he took a super soldier serum and became superhuman.
Right.
Whereas like Sam Wilson is just like, I flew some missions when I was in, it's like, you know, I flew some missions and I'm good at using like a tech flight suit, but I'm really just like a Veterans Affairs guy. Like Sam's superpowers are, he's a good listener, he's very good at de-escalation,
right,
and he's a capable fighter and tactician to a certain degree. And so like those things make him different than Steve. Steve was never really the best listener. Steve just had the benefit of coming from a place where he was able to discern right and wrong in a little bit more of a black and white way, not literally or racially, but like he came from a time when evil and good were a lot more discernible.
Right.
Especially during the World War II sort of phase. Whereas like today's, it's not about good and evil. You know, it's not necessarily even about right and wrong per se. It's about like, how do we come together to solve the problems we have without pissing each other off enough? And I do think that this movie, what worked for it was the diplomacy at times that happened in this, in the way that Sam was always trying to de-escalate, like always, only fighting when he really had to. And I liked that aspect of what they showed for him for that. Now we're at the best part of this.
Okay.
Which is what didn't work.
Before we go into what didn't work, I am going to correct my last sentence. I convoluted was the wrong word. It was a complex story, not convoluted. So I was like, oh, let me correct. I feel like, wait, that was not the right word. So I'm just gonna correct myself on that. Okay.
Well, I mean, you could. There's some people. I do. At least from some of the criticisms that I've seen, like some people do feel like the plot was convoluted. And for anybody who isn't aware, convoluted basically just means complicated in a way that's confusing or hard to discern or make out clearly. So, like, if you felt like too much was going on and you felt lost at times, like I could understand a person feeling like it was convoluted. Now, that being said, I also feel like if you watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was sort of the precursor to this, then you'd have a lot more context. I know Keeman and I were talking a little bit earlier today about how the movie felt the need to have a couple of small moments where they reminded us of things that we already knew from the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, because, of course, the movie's job is to make sure it appeals to everyone who watches it, whether they've seen that series or not. And so there were some things that they reminded us of. But yeah, so actually, before we go into things that didn't work, anybody want to say anything about like anything else that you liked? Like just specifically liked from the movie?
Yes. I it's kind of again tying into the Harrison Ford thing, but specifically I enjoyed the CGI with the Hulk this go round was really good to me. Like I mentioned in our conversation earlier, the motion caption in face, it literally was like, oh, this looks like Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And his face is moving as this is happening. So it seems so real. Also, something I forgot to mention in our conversation, I love the fact that he was tearing up the White House and the Washington Monument.
Right.
Please and thank you.
Right. Because I was just like, you know what? It felt like, it's like, oh, y'all would get rid of DEI. No, okay, well, y'all president is over here turning shit up. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Listen, I got a nice little kick out of that. I ain't gonna lie. I got a nice little kick out of that. I was like, oh yes, fuck shit up. But no, yeah. So in that regard, yes, the Hulk was really, really good. The CGI was really great. It was believable. It was, you know, it looked as if it was a real deal.
and even the fire around him when it was burning off of him, like it just all worked out so well. So yes, love that, love that, love that.
Okay. Jay, I know you got something. What you like? What you like? What hit you the most? Like when you were watching it, I'm glad that this movie included this.
I like how they talk about black. I about to call him Steve Rogers, not Steve Rogers, but
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson. How he's dealing with being a Captain America and being black without them shoving it in people's faces.
Yeah.
Like it was very subtle along with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have so much to deal with. Plus, I have to be 10 times better at the same time because they see me different as they see Steve Rogers, as in color wise.
Yeah.
But they ain't like shove it in your face trying to like prove a point. It was like incorporate with the story very well.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Especially the first like 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes were like so black and I loved it.
Right.
And if they did it without even being black or like being like, I'm black in this world, it was like, oh, we going to see Elijah, and like we went to see Elijah, and like that whole like anytime Elijah Bradley was in this, just like anytime he was in the series, it's just excellent. And so like then they ride, like they get their threads together, they get in the limo driving up the White House, and so that very whole like, yeah, let's get a selfie. Oh, you looking fly today, such and such and such. Like this whole like banter, I like the tone it set.
Right.
And
while
just
also
like,
being in this world.
And just like with him in the conversation with Ross, solid close to the end of the movie, like, yeah, I have to deal with situations as well to prove myself.
Right.
So
I understand what it's like to feel like you have to prove yourself. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Even amongst your own people, yes.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm also glad that they included. I even did like the cameo from Bucky. I did like that because I was like, because even at the end, at the end of Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, they actually did become friends. You know, even though they have a kind of a love-hate relationship going on.
That didn't seem like the type of relationship that was happening between Sam's sister and Bucky. But
right, exactly. But
it looked like a love relationship.
Right, he was down with the swirl, like for real.
He was like, "Give me that $110."
To be fair, one of his arms is Wakandan, so he's part black.
All right. We're not. Anyways, she said, "Give me that 110-year-old dick." You know what I'm saying?
Because I did rewatch it, and she was like, "Well, you know, he's cute," and saying, "But he's 110 years old." She's like, "I can work with I can work with that." Even the
that black is crazy, CJ. Wow.
Right. Even the agent and
Ruth,
who was an ex-widow, was like, I can work with that too. She was like, I can work with a lot. She was like,
look, he got trauma, I got trauma. We can trauma.
Right. We can trauma bond in multiple ways. They both was like, I see you, Winter Soldier. Call me, you know. But
that's America's ass. Let me stop.
No,
I really like the fight scene the action sequence at Celestial Island.
Me too. I was gonna say that.
Because it could have gone, like a million different ways. I appreciate the whole, like, we're not trying to start a major world war. We are just trying to de-escalate.
Right.
And I appreciated that being the forefront of everything that happened in that sequence until it worked. You know what I mean? Like, they stayed fast to that. It wasn't like, well, F it then, they're shooting at us or whatever. Like, they were constantly like, let's stop them, let's do this. Let's try to calm down the pilots first. And then the pilots were like clearly brainwashed. So they're like, no, we need to destroy these ships, right? We need to get them to eject out or whatnot. And so I just appreciated the way that, like, that was one of my one of the scenes in the movie that I liked the most. I will also say any scene where Sam and Isaiah were talking, and most of the scenes where Sam and Joaquin were interacting, like, their chemistry is fun.
Yeah.
Like, I really like the chemistry of that. It reminds me in ways of like a male version of Kamala Khan, because Joaquin is kind of like a fanboy of like the
Yeah.
Marvel universe, to a certain degree, and so I like that sort of camaraderie. It reminded me in ways of what we got from Kamala Khan and Carol Danvers in the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of like, I want to help, I want to be helpful, but I also have my own mind about things, but I'm also a big fan.
Right.
Like, give me your autograph, but also I'm skilled kind of too. And so that, like, those things to me worked really well, especially like, he's not Steve, but in so many ways he does so many cooler things than Steve.
Right.
You know, and I thought that was kind of a cool aspect too. Like, it's not just I'm a different person than Steve. It's like, here are the ways that I could be better than Steve.
Right.
You know, here are the ways where I'm not as good as Steve. But and it didn't really shy away from showing us all of those aspects in order to paint a more fuller picture of Sam. And I appreciated that, at least, because sometimes when we are shown or depicted or represented in things, we can always have this, like, we're almost depicted monolithically. Like, we can only be this one thing. And so I appreciated that we got multiple black characters in this. They had different agendas, different motivations, different types of people. They didn't all come out the same.
Right.
And everyone was like, you know, everyone was trying to be like, no, we need to fight them. We need to do this. We need to pull out of the treaty. We need to such and such and such. And Sam was just like, can everybody calm down a second? Like, what's really going on? What's wrong, guys? Like, do we need to smoke a blunt and chill and talk about this? Like, it was very, I appreciated that vibe translating throughout the whole movie. Even at the end, like, you know, he does all of the stuff with Red Hulk. I thought that was kind of clever too, the way to sort of orchestrate the fight plus the de-escalation of that fight. You know, at the very end, he like does what he does, and he's just like, please tell me that MFR is knocked out or something.
Right.
Just,
you know what? I will say that during that fight, even though I know it was not going to happen, I was saying they need a Hulk buster. They need a Hulk buster. They need a Hulk buster. Even though I knew it was not going to happen, but I was just like,
I mean, it's one of those scenes, like, it's a big shot, like a big bang.
Right.
And normally it's like the villain is knocked out.
Right.
That was the funny part about it.
Yeah,
it's like it's the end of the movie.
I was like, nope.
To the end of the movie. He does his final move. He's like, please
let him be knocked out. Like, nope.
Like, he was under rocks himself. Everybody was over him like, oh my God, are you still alive? And he's like, please tell me that works. And then you just hear, fine.
He's just like, oh no. Oh,
let me try to sun's getting real low, guy.
Right.
But I know this is slightly off topic, but when he first transformed, because the Hulk had a president in this world, and see the Secret Service that's shooting. It's got these little guns that shoot. I'm like, what are y'all doing?
This is one thing I know it's comic books. I know it's a thing, okay? But it happens with Superman, Supergirl, Luke Cage, anybody bulletproof. Why are y'all still shooting? You know these bullets do not work on this person, and yet you're continuing to shoot. Me, I'd be like, you know, I'm just gonna be like, look, why are we still shooting?
If the first couple of bullets don't hit, I'm running.
I would be like, why are we still shooting at this motherfucker? It ain't working.
Well, it's a tough place to be in, because it's not just only what you guys are talking about. It's also the fact that your Secret Service agents and the president just turned.
Right.
And now
Right.
you have to pull your guns on the one person you're supposed to be protecting.
Mm-hmm.
But this
I
is
think
the thing.
I think the fact that we know that it was a Hulk and we've known that it was a Hulk is clouding some of our is biasing some of our judgment on this, because if you were a Secret Service agent and the person you're supposed to protect just turned into a monster in front of you and then started throwing stuff and being dangerous, like, what do you do besides pull out your gun and fire? Right? Like,
That's why even those guys
even
asked
if the
her.
bullets aren't working, it's like, well, what else are we supposed to do? You
But
know what I mean?
what-
Like,
but
I get
what
the
I'm
idea
saying-
that, like, we know it's a Hulk. We know that regular bullets aren't going to work. But these guys have a job, and everything about their job just went sideways faster than they could really process. So, like, to expect them in that moment to be like, no, I won't try my gun, is kind of
No, I just
it's like
say
they sort of like have to, because what else are they going to do? But I do think it's kind of weird. It's like they did kind of fire on him pretty quickly for 5 minutes before, for 50 seconds before being employed to protect him.
Right.
Like, they immediately.
Right. But I just saying, like, I understand if you were firing before he was changing. Okay, cool. But like I said, there's a Hulk in the world. You've seen this. You seen Hulk. Maybe not. Maybe, like I said, this is a different
Hey,
Hulk. Maybe
she
they
said,
didn't
when
know.
did they come red?
Right.
Right. So you know.
Maybe bullets work on this one.
So you
Maybe
know.
bullets work on this one.
Right. You know the bullets don't work on
the green one. They don't work on the green
I was
one.
like,
so
I don't know if they came out different colors like Yoshi's in Super Mario World. I would try the same thing just to make sure. Like, I'd be like, well, maybe the purple one can get hit by bullets.
Right.
You know, like
Keeman say, after the first 3 shots, I'm like, okay.
After the
Trying to
first
get the big artillery.
5 to 6 shots, baby, I'm out of here. Fuck all of this. Fire me if you must. Y'all got it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the other part is, like, why are we not more fully, like, Batman prepared?
Right.
And maybe the Secret Service people, the people on the ground right at that moment, like, nobody knew that the president was a Hulk except for the leader.
Right.
So, like,
that's understandable.
To be fair, people on the ground maybe not. But when you started mobilizing, like, helicopters and stuff, and there's like, this looks like it might be a Hulk, why are we not putting the vibranium bullets in the ammo cartridges? Like, I don't, because if Sam's vibranium wings can, like, cut and damage and stab the Hulk, then you'd think that a vibranium bullet would be able to pierce the skin. Or at least a trank dart or something made of like something more effective. They just felt like, we're just gonna empty the artillery on him with regular bullets. We definitely saw how this worked with
Banner.
Right, with Banner 16 years ago. And Banner any other time that he's decided to go berserk and you needed to stop him. So I honestly, I would put that as a knock against their preparation. But seeing how certain administrations and government bodies and organizations have mobilized and tried to do things and failed at it, even after knowing better, I can't really say that this doesn't track to reality a little bit. Because we do have to remember that the one person who was constantly concerned with real defense of the Earth is now dead.
Yeah.
And we don't have much indication that whatever projects he was doing are still going, if that makes any sense.
Because we
so, like, these subsequent administrations seem like they've forgotten or gotten a little too safe.
Also, I think
forgotten what the problems are.
Right. Also, I think too that with the world having a Professor Hulk, like the way that the Hulk is now, the Banner, he's so calm and he's been able to merge both Banner and Hulk together. I think people were like, well, he's more in control. He's calm. We don't need these weapons, or we don't need to be as prepared because we only have one Hulk in the world. Well, technically, we have 3 now, but we only have one who's not really a threat, and She-Hulk doesn't like she's much of a threat. Scar. Thank you.
I was gonna say we technically have 4, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, because
But
we
that
had the
was
Maury Povich show at the end of She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, yeah, exactly.
Season
Well,
one,
that
when he
just
was like, "Oh,
I
guess
have
what?
a
I got a
son.
son."
but that well, what you're saying, going with what Cedro saying, like, they got a little too comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's why he's like, we need to. Well,
but
because he was trying to in the movie talking about we need to reassemble, get some type of another Avengers going.
yeah, and Sam even agreed to that at the end. Like, we do need to reassemble the Avengers, but
Yeah.
it's also like, and I know people call Batman paranoid, but Batman always has a contingency plan for every member of the Justice League for a reason, just in case something does happen like this. No matter how calm it is, Batman got something in the belt just in
I
case.
mean,
But that's also how
you have
that's
to.
also how his character is written and
It
how he
is,
has
right.
to be
Yeah,
in order
yeah.
to matter.
Yeah.
Because if Batman wasn't prepared for everything as a regular human being, he would get wiped every
Right.
time he fought. So it's like he has to be written in a way that makes him always prepared.
Right.
Which also locks in because he's been that character for a long time, or for like 70, 80 years,
80
right?
plus years, yeah.
And so it's like, because he's been that, other characters can't be that also, because then they get compared too quickly to him. So it's
Yeah.
like everybody has to be a little stupider than they should be in order to make stories work without
Right.
having a character that prepares better.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it's just that was, to me, that was a little weird, but I don't think that it necessarily took me too far out, because I've literally seen like the devastation that happened with the ice debacle in Houston a few years ago, right? But then the very next year, it's like they're not really doing anything to make it better. So for me to sit and say that, like, oh, they should be prepared in this world and they should have better bullets, it's like, but the government doesn't really, like,
Yeah,
I don't know, they don't work that fast or
They don't.
smart sometimes.
They don't.
And it's always about like cutting costs and budgets. So like I could see them cutting the cost there because, again, they've gotten a little too comfortable. Okay, so that being said, and since we're sort of touching on elements of things anyway, let's get to the next part, which is like one thing that you felt like did not work,
Mm.
or that you just thought wasn't working well for you. Now I'll give two while you guys are thinking about that. And one of them is I thought the length of the movie didn't work. I think the movie needed like 10 or 15 more minutes just to help set up and solidify a few of the things that they were trying to hammer in. That being said, the other part that I felt like didn't work, I know it would have leaked anyway, but I don't think they should have told us that Red Hulk was going to be in this movie.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I agree.
Because I think that was a major part of the plot point, and so it sort of just made the whole movie you just waiting for Red Hulk to show up, as opposed to you enjoying the movie that's before you and Red Hulk showing up as like a surprise. And I know it would have been leaked. I know it would have been leaked. But I would have rather it just stayed in the leaks and then actually shown up in the movie than like the first trailer you show us of this movie. You tease that Red Hulk is showing up, and then everything else afterwards, you show us more Red Hulk to the point
you
where
kind
it's
of
like,
know. Yeah,
we know that, like, we know the whole thing is like a suspense almost. It's supposed to be like a political thriller. It's hard to politically thrill you when you know the end game and result of the villain that's doing the maneuvering in the shadows. And so I think that was a slight detriment. That's why I was saying earlier, like, I give it a B. I won't give it a B- or a C, in the C range, because I think some of the things about this movie were solid. They just got effed over a little bit by some of the marketing, a lot of the marketing, honestly, and some of the ways that it was done. But those I would say two things for me that just didn't work. I feel like they told us too much information in the marketing for it. And then I felt like the movie had some pacing issues because they cut like 10 to 15 minutes off of it that I feel like could have helped it.
Mhm.
Especially,
Right.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to say too many things, but anyone else can start with maybe one thing that you thought.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll say things that didn't work for me. Although I enjoyed her performance. I'll say Ruth. Uh, I yeah, it didn't work for me. And I think this is more so towards the people um who are like, behind the scenes, like director and all this other stuff. And also this could also play in a part of the reshoots and everything. Um, they really harped on the fact that she was an ex widow,
Mhm.
and I completely understand that. But I had told Cedro that there's a part in the film where um Sam tells her and Joaquin, is it Joaquin? Yeah.
Yeah.
To suit up, right? And then next thing you know, they say, okay, so they're gonna go suit up. And the next thing you know, we see a clip of her walking in and she has on a suit, but it's like a super suit almost.
It was
And
kind of
so
it reminded me of a widow suit almost, or widow suit esque.
It was a like the colored chest plate that she had
Mhm.
under her like jacket. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if I would fully call that a suit, but I understand what you mean. It was like distinctly different than what she had been wearing the entire movie,
that's what
Mhm.
I'm
without
saying.
any real explanation as to like why this chick why is she wearing like an Avengers-esque outfit
Exactly.
when
Mhm.
she's just like head of security for the president.
Right.
Like
Thank you.
shouldn't she just be in like
That's
a
what I'm saying.
bulletproof vest and the pantsuit that she was wearing for the
Mhm.
movie? So
Exactly. Ex-widow or not,
yeah.
she should look the part of what she is, which is a Secret Service agent.
Mhm.
So where the fuck did the suit come from? Or where the fuck did the plate or whatever that was? Because
Yeah.
all we could see was this portion of
Mhm.
it. But it was kind of like, okay, so what's the extra story to this? But obviously, again, reshoots and things happened, and that probably has taken away some things. But that also goes into the idea that these, filmmakers, um, I could be wrong, but they need to learn how to read the room regarding characters that they bring into these films and shows, because of the origin of what her character was supposed to be,
Right.
which then turned
Which
into
they had
be
to
Ruth.
cut out. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like
But
they had to change a lot because of the way that now, to be fair to them, this movie was in the works for a while.
Yeah.
And it's only within the last couple of years that the like the Gaza Strip thing
Mhm.
situation has come to a larger and more prevalent head. This issue has clearly been ongoing for a very long time in that area.
yes, it
However,
has.
recently it's gotten like to a point where you will be like alienated or ostracized no matter which side you take on the situation. And most people who have human compassion and sentimentality are clearly taking like the side of excuse me, the side of the residents of Gaza Strip, the Palestinians, et cetera, and the things and
Of
the
course.
atrocities that are being enacted upon them by Israel. And so for this character to have Israel ties and was supposed to be the Marvel character Sabra, who sort of has some of her background story and that's the character she was supposed to be, they got such a bad review from the focus groups that they sent this to, and also just people online saying this, we know this character is going to be this and we know she's going to be in it, and why would you do something like that in this landscape, etc. They had to do a lot to change that around. So some of the remnants of that is us seeing her with a cool chest plate suit under her jacket, but not really getting the context as to why that's happening. And so I do think they did enough to make the character work and like okay, while having to cut out major parts of that character incorporated. But to your point, Keeman, I do think some of these things, like you can just read the room about, like we never needed to bring her character in it at all. There are thousands upon thousands of Marvel Universe characters, many women characters, and she could have been any one of those, or you could have just made up somebody new
because there was
she could
just tied her to the Red Room in the way
Right.
that they did. You know
I was
what I
gonna
mean?
say,
But it's
yeah,
like,
she could be another ex-widow. There are millions of widows.
I mean, and
and
they did
ex-widows.
but see, and the problem is like they did that. Like this movie, the edits they did that. They made her just another Red Room person. The problem is that her full name is a character. And the little clips of scenes where we see that she clearly had to have had more going on that they had to edit out, those conflict. Like if they had just from the beginning, it's like she's just an ex-widow, boom, we're good.
Yeah.
But the fact that they wanted to try and bring this other character in, for what reason, I don't know. Like for me, it's like
I still don't get
why
that.
why did an Israeli character need to be in this story when the story was like, or the main story, because I guess we don't know if Israel was supposed to participate in the story overall, or they edited some of that out too. But like, why does Israel need to be in this story when the main places that they are is like the Indian Ocean for the Celestial Island? We got the Japanese,
They were in
French,
Tokyo, yeah.
the French, because it was the French, the Japanese, and the Americans that were doing the treaty, and other places too, but the French and the Japanese were the main ones that were like, we're not really sure if we want to still do this. But like, those are the main places. So Israel never even needed to be a part of this story to begin with. And so for you to force that in and then have to edit it out in a way, it just sort of, I agree with you. It didn't work. I don't think that her character really threw me out of the rest of the movie enough.
Oh no.
But that is something that's absolutely like, she could have just
she did her
just
thing.
not been here.
Yeah.
Or you could have made it like, I guess the other part of it, which is probably things that she was scenes in, is the black woman who was like his actual Secret Service agent woman.
I didn't understand.
It was almost like the reason why she was there was because there were scenes with Ruth that they needed to take out, and they needed some Secret Service person to be there to talk to him. And so like, sort of like her role, I feel like she could have just been Ruth. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Or
It
Ruth
didn't
could have
make
just not been. So a lot of it just, it made sense. It just was flimsy. Like it was flimsy. Like you do have multiple Secret Service agents. That makes sense. Having a head of security makes sense. Having a head of security that's an ex-Black Widow makes sense in this world. So it's like, it makes sense. It just wasn't good enough. It wasn't executed well enough for it to be palatable.
Yeah, and I felt like she was an afterthought, the African American one. I feel like she was just an addition and an afterthought. And I was like, I feel like you're supposed to be way more important than what they're given in this film. And I don't like that.
Yeah, that was going to be my negative right there. Because it seems like she should have had more scenes than she had.
Yeah.
Especially the way they had her set up, like telling him, like, do you want to take, the easy way or the hard way? Like, it seemed they have history, but she seemed like the scenes were cut. Like you said, it should have been longer to explain some things.
Yeah, I think what happened was Ruth had a much larger part, but they had to edit out a lot because of trying to make sure that they didn't upset the anti-Israeli like faction of people that feel wronged because of what's going on in Palestine. So because they had to edit all that out, they still needed the story beats of Ross saying and getting to certain points. And so they're like, well, how do we do that? Oh, well, the president has a lot of Secret Service members that he probably talks to. Let's just bring in one other Secret Service member and have her be that thing. And so it just sort of, it was weird to me because she didn't feel like that much of an afterthought until after the movie was over, and I thought about it. Because she shows up in the beginning, like they get to the White House, and she's the one greeting Sam at the door, and she's like, such and such
that
and
was
such.
his
They seem to
connect.
know each.
Right.
They seem to know each other. Right.
Have
And
history,
so it's
right?
like,
That was his connect
she
that
doesn't
he
seem
talked
like
about.
an afterthought. But then after the movie's over, it's like every other moment she was in the movie since then was just to like fill space so that Ross could get to the part in the dialogue to move the plot along. And so it just sort of felt like, why is she here?
And
Why couldn't
again,
she have just been a text?
and again, my comment regarding both her and the Ruth character have nothing to do with the actresses because again, they both were great in what they did. It's more so the direction that I have my thing that to say that it didn't work because again, yes, she definitely was an afterthought. And like Cedro said, why was Saber even a thought to be in this film? Why did Israel have to be involved in this in the first place? That's the main question here. But again, the two of them did really well. I just feel like the two female characters got the short end of the stick in this situation, but it's fine. Because I mean, clearly some of these things are out of control, out of a lot of people's control. But I just wanted a little bit more there. And then the second thing, the last thing I want to say is, I wanted more of Giancarlo, and I'm gonna leave it there. That's all I wanted more of him. That's it. Because I enjoy him as an actor, and I just wanted more of him because I felt like the scene between him and Sam the fight scene was really good, and so I'm like, I wanted more. Like, yes, I mean he played Sidewinder very well, even though we were under the impression at first that he was going to be like a brand new character, or maybe his character just wasn't disclosed at first. But I think he was supposed to be a brand new character, and then I think when they did their screen test, they were like, because they took the feedback of their screen test too hard because of the things that Marvel has gone through in the past, and they were like, well, people don't like this, people don't like that. So I think they actually made his character from a brand new character to somebody that's already known as Sidewinder from the Super Society. I think that's what happened.
Well, he said he told us when he was casted. Giancarlo told us that he had been talking with Marvel for a moment about trying to find a character. They were never supposed to make him a brand new character.
Okay.
He told us that he was going to be a character that exists in Marvel in the comics, and that he wasn't sure if anybody would be able to guess who he was going to be.
That's what it was. Okay, yeah. Okay. Little misdirection.
It's another reshoot, re-edit of the script aspect of things because the original Sidewinding group did not include him and was supposed to include Seth Rollins.
Oh,
yes, Seth Rollins was originally in the.
And so that got edited out because they changed some stuff around and they needed to make the leader of the Serpent Society group have more gravitas. So they brought in Giancarlo Esposito in the role of Sidewinder.
Poor Seth.
And changed that around.
Seth
I don't know
Rollins.
I don't know if I needed more Giancarlo. Like I love seeing him and stuff. I think what they gave us was enough because of what he was able to provide for the story.
Yeah.
Because if we're trying to look at this also as, does this movie do well enough to get a sequel? And what does that look like? If we're thinking about this in trilogy terms, like I'd be fine with Giancarlo getting teased as like a B or C or subplot villain in this that becomes a little helpful and then like escapes in 2 and 3 and becomes like a bigger person. I love the sort of like, let's see your evolution too, parallel to the hero's evolution. So I'm cool with like getting a little dose of him, seeing that he can be somewhat of a threat, seeing that he does have a certain amount of information and intel that he's capable of possessing, seeing that he is capable, and then putting him in prison like a classic comic book villain to escape later and be a problem like a bigger problem later.
Right.
And so I think that's also the direction that they decided to go with it, because I mean, like, they did say it in the dialogue. Like, he's like, "You're going to prison," and he's like, "It's not going to hold me long." So like they gave
Right.
us a tease of the fact that like he's going to be, or they're setting it up so that he can have the potential to be a problem
Right.
later on. I
But the-
don't think we're getting a sequel to this movie anytime before we have the next several movies.
Right.
Um,
No, it won't be until after Secret Wars, probably.
and so that's going to be a little bit of an awkward thing. Like, not awkward, but that'll be kind of interesting. Like,
Now,
not Captain America, Doctor Strange sequel took what,
Mm-hmm.
7 years before
Yeah,
it came?
Right.
So it's just going to be odd to have like this, like 5 years later, Captain America, Captain America Brave New World 2.
Right.
Brave 2 World.
Brave, not Brave 2
Not
World.
Brave 2 World.
You know what?
Devon, what did you not like? I'm sorry, I forgot. You didn't even get there.
What didn't work for you?
Yeah. What didn't work?
It's a little different than what didn't you like.
Right. What didn't work for me?
No, I didn't like it.
And
you didn't like it? I thought you.
No,
just
I'm
said you
saying no. What I said didn't work for me is what I didn't like. But yes.
Okay.
I mean, they can be the same thing, but they are not like, they're not mutually inclusive. Like, they don't have to be the same thing.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay. If I had to really say what didn't work for me, okay. One, there wasn't. I guess it one. I don't know, because I mean, a lot did work for me, but I guess the way they introduced the leader. Not saying that he wasn't a good villain. He was actually a pretty decent villain. But I guess for me, because of this movie, I was and because of who the leader is, I was expecting him more to be confronting the Green Hawk and not or going after the Green Hawk versus the Red One. That's what didn't work for me. Like, I would have preferred, and for him to be a little bit more arrogant, like he is in the comics, and we see him in cartoons where he thinks, well, he pretty much thinks he's the smartest person in the room or on the planet because of his of the way he's also a scientist, of course. We saw that in the movie, but he also of his probability. So which made me think that he's more of like the calculator from DC. But his introduction into the MCU, it's like it could have been better. It was a little bit lackluster for me. So his introduction didn't work. Him being a villain was good, was good, but his introduction was just like, okay.
When you say introduction, do you mean the entirety of his presence in this movie, or are you talking about his literal, like, when he entered the story? Do you understand what I mean?
In this movie.
You mean this entire role for him in this movie, his introduction to the MCU, right? Not just like how they introduced him in this movie. Does that make sense? Or am I not clear? Like, what I'm trying to ask is, like, you're saying his introduction, are you talking about his entire role in Captain America Brave New World, or are you just talking about his literal introduction in the movie, how he was introduced to the story?
How he was introduced to the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you wanted them to expand on it more? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I did. Which, because and also to show exactly more so of what exactly Ross did to him, like how much more gamma radiation did he put in his brain? Because remember, this is a sequel, more or less, to the Incredible Hulk, and we did see in that movie where the gamma radiation did hit his brain and his brain started moving. It was just like, okay, how much more did you put him through? And of course, the look of him is different because in the comics, his head is more up and more like a box shape, where in this is more like
lumps.
Yeah, lumps, like the Thinker. I was just like, oh, well, no, he's more like the Thinker. So I will go with that more so than a calculator. But it reminded me of the Thinker too. I was like, oh, y'all went with that design. Okay.
I agree. It would have been better to see the progression of him going into madness. Or, yeah.
They
But
gave him a
that
mini
might have been
angstrom leaving.
right. But that might have been one thing that they cut out. Maybe they did have it, but they cut it out again with everything else that they cut out. And another thing that I wish would have been more they would have spent more on is Celestial Island. I think they could have shown how people were getting adamantium off of him. Like, were they drilling? Were they what tools were they using to get it out of him? Was it on the inside of him? Was it on the outside? So I wanted that more explained.
Well, they did show that they had facilities inside that were mining. They did say it. Like, they didn't say it a bunch of times to make sure you remembered it, but they did mention it in that opening gala event where he was talking to the world about it. To your point, I will say that to me, one of the things that didn't necessarily work fully is the adamantium thing. Like, it's cool that it's cool that this is the way they're introducing adamantium to the MCU, because we really haven't had it in the MCU at all. With the exception of Wolverine in the very last movie that Marvel showed us. But it was like they mentioned that it existed. They said that it was like a metal, or that it was a substance that was stronger than vibranium, but they didn't really expound on what that meant.
Yeah.
It was just like, adamantium's here, and they sort of banked on the fact that most people watching would have some previous knowledge of what that was. They didn't really try to explain what it was for us in the movie in some way that actually stuck. It was just like, yes, there's a big celestial, there's a dead creature, there's a dead monster creature robot thing sticking out of our planet, and it's got like this resource, and we've decided to name it this resource. We decided to name this resource, which is also a brand new thing for the world. Didn't really explain how that came about. And then we didn't really explain anything more. Like, how is it stronger than vibranium?
Right.
Like, how is it really applied, besides just saying it's a strong substance, it's stronger than the substance the Wakandans have? Like, it didn't really do anything besides that. And so for me, that was a little weird, considering the whole world is fighting over it. You'd think you'd give us, that's why I said 10 to 15 more minutes. We could have gotten like 2 more minutes with the black woman. Which one color? We could have gotten 2 more minutes where they explained two more minutes where they explained a little bit more about adamantium. Just a little, just a few things that could have just been tightened up a bit.
Yeah.
Especially considering
this movie. Go ahead. Especially considering.
No, I was gonna say, especially considering that they're tying in like 3 different projects in one film.
And teasing towards future stuff with the whole adamantium aspect and the multiverse incursion problem,
Doomsday, and Secret Wars,
and so
yeah.
So just some of those things didn't necessarily work as well as they could have. That being said, I think that a lot of the mistakes happened around like marketing for the movie, and happened around like not taking a little more time to really hash out a couple of things throughout. And that's why for me, this movie, it was a B. Like, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't Thor: The Dark World.
Well.
You know, it wasn't Iron Man
3.
3 is better than 2.
Is it though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
He said, "Yes, it is."
Let's think about it in like.
We're gonna put a pin in that one.
The first Iron Man villain is Obadiah Stane, Ironmonger. You fight somebody who basically gets in a suit that's similar to yours, and you fight him, right? The second one, we've got an angry Russian guy who's doing the same thing, and
with electrical whips called Whiplash.
And now we have to contend with the fact that we also have to deal with the fact that Rhodey is now Don Cheadle instead of Terrence Howard.
And Iron Patriot.
And don't get me wrong, I think Don Cheadle has been a better Rhodey than Terrence Howard.
Mm-hmm.
But like there was a lot that changed, and that movie
Man.
just didn't do what it needed to do. Also, the first Thor movie wasn't really that great either. So like if we're comparing Marvel movies, this to me doesn't even reach the bottom 5. So it's a B. There's a couple of things that could have like topped. There's a couple of things that could have fixed the problem and made the movie a lot better overall than it was. But I don't think that those things in and of themselves make the movie bad.
Okay. Is there anything? Okay, so here's a question I do have. Since it was said a lot, well, said a couple of times, and I guess you consider it a teaser. Do you think Sam will get the super soldier formula in some kind of way? It may not be from this universe. It could happen during Secret Wars, because in the comics there is a universe where he does get it, but he gets it through a blood transfusion from Steve. So, but considering the way that things went in this movie, do you think they will give it to him?
I don't think they'll give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do not think that our 616 Sam Wilson will get the serum, because that is one of the main focal points as to why he's different and why he matters.
Right.
Because he continually keeps choosing not to, even though the thought about doing it crosses his mind frequently.
Right.
Which I also thought was fine. Like, some people had some issues with that, but I feel like
that's
every
realistic.
That's realistic. Every human being struggles with inadequacies and that type of stuff all the time. So like for him to constantly think about it or talk about it isn't really that odd, because in the experiences I've had in life, most people I know talk about the things that bother them more than once. They don't just talk about it once and then expect everybody to remember forever. They literally talk about it all the time, because that's how we work as humans. So like I thought that was fine. I don't think they'll give it to him. Like they will not give it to this Sam. Maybe in Secret Wars he meets another Sam that has it.
Right.
But they're not going to give it to ours.
Okay.
Like,
I agree.
Unless they do something weird where in the eventual crunch of the universes to make one new universe for the MCU going forward after Secret Wars, if Sam is a part of that group, maybe we don't get our Sam.
Right.
You know, there's also a very strong possibility that the variants that we see of the characters that we're expecting to possibly see in Secret Wars, that some of the ones that we like and we've known up until this point will not carry over, and maybe their variant will instead. And so, like, that's a possibility, but I don't think that our 616 Sam will ever get a amplification serum.
Because that was a funny scene. Because you'll find the Red Hulk. You're like, not take the serum my ass.
Bucky was
right.
Bucky was out of his cotton picking mind.
Right, and but you know what too? What is slightly different from I'm going back to Red Hulk and then we'll wrap up. The way Red Hulk comes about in this movie versus in the comics and the TV show, where in the comics and the TV shows, he volunteers to become a Red Hulk in order to go and fight the monster he hates. It's kind of like, I became the thing I became the thing I hated to fight the thing I hate. You know, it's the concept in the comics and on TV shows. Where in this, it's the leader feeding him gamma radiation through his medication that he did not know about, and then making him angry enough for it to come out and be like, you're angry, you're frustrated, things are not going well. Release that anger, release it.
Yeah. I mean, I actually kind of like this movie's version of that than the comic version of how Ross gets it. Just because in the comic version, Ross is always the same character. There isn't a whole lot of growth. Like he's always like, I hate the Hulk, I hate monsters, and I hate superpowered people because X, Y, and Z. So I think I could do better having those powers than blah, 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 blah. And then it's a lot of arrogance, a lot of whatever. And this movie was very strong on, he's trying to change. Like
Right.
he's trying to do the things he needs to do to be a better leader for the world, to be a better role model and example for his daughter, whom he still
Right.
cares deeply about.
Yeah.
And I do think that that is a thread that is common amongst Ross. Is like Ross
Yeah.
has always loved his daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that that is
And
enough of a catalyst for an
Mhm.
older man who's not in wars anymore, that
right.
now has a larger position of leadership to decide that he wants to be better. And so I like the fact that
It's
they
more.
decided to make it where it's like he's trying to be better,
Mhm.
but the mistakes of his past that he still hasn't really atoned for have now come back to bite him in the ass. And it bit him in the ass in the sense of the guy he was using to keep him alive with medication has been spiking the medication
Right.
to
It,
try and F him over. Like I actually like that.
yeah. It's more. It's
Yeah.
more down to earth.
I do too. Yeah.
As
Like, it's
opposed
more.
to Ross just being like, put me in a chamber with gamma radiation and see what happens. Like I
Yeah.
like the whole like
Like shoot
I
me
was
up with that shit.
dying.
Yeah.
This medicine was helping me. I was using one of the smartest people that helped me figure this out to do it. But at the same time, this person I'm keeping prisoner is like, well, I'm gonna get mine too. And so
Mhm.
I like that. I like the lore and the history, them tying in the Incredible Hulk stuff because it gives this story more depth
Yeah.
than if we just had a new villain to contend with now. Where it's like, no, this has been going on for like 16, 19, 20 years where they basically kept me prisoner and like making weapons and medicine and shit for them and thinking up solutions. And like, I just want to be fucking free. And these
Right.
guys will not let me go. So let me do what I need to do to ruin everything because of whatever.
Yeah.
That being said, they were also talking about like the thinker didn't, I mean, not the thinker, the leader, he didn't care about what happened to the world. He just wanted to get back at Ross.
Yeah.
But then like the final scene where he's just like, it's my world too, and it's your world. But what happens when people from other worlds need to protect their world, right?
Mhm.
And so my thing is like, so you do care about Earth.
Yeah.
Because you definitely did a whole bunch of things during this movie to destroy it.
Droid. Right.
Just for spite.
Right.
Maybe he's had some time to think and just thinks differently. But
Just
like
because,
that's
yeah.
like but yeah, I mean I thought that they did a better job giving us a Red Hulk in this than sometimes the comics have done.
Okay.
Right.
That being said, some of the execution around it obviously is like, you know, left a little bit to desire, but
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So,
but I want a sequel. So
me too. And also I hate the fact that people online were like, well, Sam doesn't seem like he's leadership material. I'm like, you have to build up to that. You can't have Sam just come in and take over a leadership role and be the next, Steve Rogers or whatever. He has to find his own way to be a leader.
But why is he not leadership material?
No.
What
But
did no. I'm saying, like, did anybody say in the stuff that you read, like, why they felt like he wasn't, or they're just saying something out of their ass because he's not right and taking charge?
Well, it's
like
because
Steve
of,
does.
well,
It's
number
like,
one is because of this. That's number one. Number two is also because he does not. Somebody said, "Oh, he's not a super soldier." And I'm like, does he have to be a super soldier to be a leader?
Everybody don't have to be a super soldier.
Right. And then another person said, well, how is he out there taking hits from the Hulk that can like crush him and turn him into like wet paper? I'm like, his suit is actually the suit is protecting him, you moron.
Right. And plus throughout the movie, you see him getting hurt and stabbed and
right.
broken bones.
Shot, stabbed, rib busted.
Right. Like the man getting his ass beat.
Right.
It was bloody at the end of that damn fight with the Hulk, and ended up with his arm in the sling. So yeah, he definitely showing up and showing out as much as he can. But them wings and that shield,
baby,
that's his life right there.
But you also see like the color thing that you're talking about in the sense that Bruce Wayne been doing that for 80 years, and nobody said anything except leave their asses up to ride his dick as hard as possible. Whereas Sam Wilson jumps into this without powers, and the first thing everybody says is, "There's no possible way he can do any of this without powers."
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And constantly doubting his ability to lead without super abilities. When it's like, but what about carrying the same energy for every person who doesn't have abilities that manages to be in the world with people with abilities or lead groups of people? Like, that doesn't make, to me, it just doesn't make any sense to say that, because they tried to do the same thing with Shuri in Black Panther. They were like, she hasn't done enough to prove to us that she's capable of handling this role. And it's like, the entire Wakandan society is a female warrior-driven society, and you're gonna think that just because she can engineer her face off and is a super genius, that she wouldn't have been trained like T'Challa in fighting.
Okay.
And she needs to prove herself. No, the reason why she needs to prove herself is because for whatever reason, you're still stuck in the idea that women aren't capable fighters. And so she has to do a whole bunch of stuff and jump through a whole bunch of flaming hoops and juggle swords and swallow knives and fight a Hulk bare-fisted in order for you to be like, okay, she's cool enough for me to acknowledge that she has skill. And it's like, no, she doesn't have to do that. There are plenty of male characters in any of these stories that never have to prove that they're capable as a fighter. But every time we get a different type of character that's not whatever, whatever, and blonde, constantly they get beset about like, well, they're not leadership material, they don't have powers, they're not such and such and such. And it's like, well, have the same energy for Bruce Wayne. Also get him a therapist.
Some people actually, I mean, the people do, and everybody, well, Batman ain't got no powers. So I'm like, but those are optional. No one has to have powers to be considered a superhero or a hero at all. Like, look, y'all don't give the same energy to Green Arrow, even though Green Arrow's the same thing. He just uses arrows. He's just he's a billionaire.
They do give the same. Actually, Green Arrow gets a lot more flack than Batman does. You just think Batman gets a lot more flack because Batman is a much more popular character, and so you're a little more tuned into the commentary. But people don't consider Green Arrow to be a worthwhile hero at all. Whereas, like, even the people that hate Batman acknowledge that he's still like in the Justice League. It's like Green Arrow like doesn't always make it to the Justice League. He often gets considered to be like he's just Robin Hood.
Right.
Like he gets a lot more flack. That being said, he gets left alone a lot just because his character gets left alone a lot. Like he's not really incorporated into a lot of storylines like that, honestly. So I think it's a little bit different in that regard. But yes, like they still don't get it. Batman, whether it's Oliver Queen, whether it's Bruce Wayne, they don't have powers.
Nope.
And they still do things and people are still cool with it. It's like Sam Wilson shows up and suddenly now we have to be like, well, you're not worth anything, or you don't have
like
value,
why are you able to go toe to toe with the Hulk and live, or why are you able to take missiles to the face just because you have a vibranium shield and vibranium wings that are practically what that
right. I mean, let's also think about the fact that like Sam is doing things a little bit more delicately than Steve did.
Yeah.
Again, I talk about de-escalation. Like Sam was, when we met Sam in the MCU, this is aside from the comics, when we met Sam in the MCU, he worked for Veterans Affairs and he worked as a counselor. So like his whole thing is listening, understanding, trying to find better solutions for everybody, and de-escalation. Every time Steve has been the main character in a MCU project, all he did was use his like arrogance and white privilege to fight against whatever he felt like he needed to fight against, no matter what it did or how many people it screwed over in the end.
Right.
And the ramifications of that we felt in every single movie he's been in, including Civil War, where if he were in that situation, he would, like, if Sam were in that situation, de-escalation. Steve's like, no, I'm gonna fight you and everybody else because y'all are coming for my best friend.
Action first, ask questions later.
Real bad bitch. Got her own money.
If anybody out there is fortunate enough, like myself, and I'm glad I caught the bundle when I did. So if you go back and play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, that's actually the concept is the story behind it is Civil War, like one side disagreeing with the other of how to handle heroes and characters. And it does give you a little bit more in depth with that, but you can also go read the comic too or listen to it. But yeah, if you guys don't understand the whole thing behind Civil War, I mean, in the movie it was more about Bucky, but they did say that as well.
Because let's be honest, like in everything that Captain America has been in the MCU, if it wasn't running and like punching something or fighting against something as hard as possible, like he wasn't really that effective. And a lot of the decisions he made ended up messing up a whole lot of other things, because the decisions he made in Civil War ended up with the Avengers being split up and not together enough to fight against when Thanos came in Infinity War. Like his actions actually screwed them over the most. As much as everybody wants to be mad at Star-Lord for pistol whipping Thanos in the face.
Right.
It's like Steve really made the decisions that fucked everybody over.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so like I do like what they did in this movie to make sure that like Sam is better than Steve in those regards.
Yeah.
Steve was born of a world where it was a lot more black and white, sometimes literally. Sam is built in a world that's a lot more complex, and you can't just punch
your
the
way
bad guy
through
and
shit.
run and punch them
Right,
out and
right.
be done.
Because like
And so, and like even in the other part is like if Joaquin was dealing with some stuff, Sam is not just gonna pull a Steve. You know, like Steve was minding his business, and then all of a sudden it was like, "That's my best friend. That's a real bad bit," and he just ran and took care of Buck. Like every time Bucky shows up, Steve loses his mind.
Yeah,
which sometimes makes me wonder, like, did you actually, when you finished returning the stones, did you go to live with Peggy, or did you go find a version of Bucky? Because oh my god, this romance is strong.
Like, yeah, and also what was I gonna say? Oh, with Ruth and also with the black chick, there was the rumor that one of them was supposed to be Songbird, but that of course that didn't happen. But one of them could become Songbird in the future, and if Songbird is a shield agent that has supersonic wings that emit sound. That's as much information I got on her. But you can look her up. But I wouldn't
We'll need any more wings.
We need more wings.
We got Captain Falcon. We got Falcon. I mean, I'm sorry. We got Captain America. Excuse me, not Captain Falcon. We got Captain America. We have Falcon, and we have I forgot her name, but the woman from Moon Knight. No,
Birdie.
I mean, yeah, like sure, but
the girl from Moon Knight, with the wings, and we got Birdie, who I hope shows up in live action. But we also, even though she never had wings, we also have another bird, Mockingbird. So, we had Mockingbird until she retired. But
so we absolutely should wrap up soon. But I have I have a follow-up question that has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
It's because Keeman mentioned Birdie. So Natasha Lyonne, who voiced Birdie in What If season 3, she is supposed to be in Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Yep,
she is.
We thought that she was going to be the voice of Herbie, their robot buddy companion butler thing. But in the preview, Herbie seemed like it was just like an R2D2 type AI where it just makes like beeps and sounds as opposed to actually having a real voice. So my question to you becomes, if we know she's going to be in this movie and we got a tease that she's already played another character in the MCU, is it possible that we will get a Birdie appearance in Fantastic Four: First Steps?
Possibly.
Or is she going to be someone else?
It's possible.
I think it'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's her being Birdie. Given the fact that, I mean, for one, she is from another universe.
Yeah.
And she's one of the. Well, now that we know, she's like a watcher or whatever. So it's a possibility.
It's a possibility, or she also could be. Originally it's supposed to have been Agatha, but Birdie could also be Franklin's nanny. She could be.
You mean Birdie or just the?
I mean, no. The actual. I'm
Natasha,
sorry.
okay.
Not Natasha Lyonne could be Franklin's nanny, because originally in the comics it is Agatha Harkness, but because we know what happened in Wiccan or season 2, Agatha all along. Yeah.
Well,
WandaVision season 2. Yeah.
This is a multiverse situation, so it is
Yeah.
possible that Agatha could
Yeah.
still be the like
Yeah.
it could like we could it depends on where they end up. If they end up in our universe at the end, I could see them having Franklin and trying to situate themselves and having like a end credit scene where they like open a door for a nanny and it's like Agatha, but it wouldn't make sense if in the 616 because she's a ghost now.
Right.
But like I could also see them interviewing nannies and like having a scene where they interview a few nannies and one of them is Agatha. But it's like their universe is Agatha, so she's not nearly as powerful of a witch or whatever as she is. But yeah, so I thought about that, about the Natasha Lyonne thing. Now that we know she is already a character, like could that character show up live action? If it happens, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I feel like if they're gonna make any character a live action character, I would definitely make it Cohorty.
I agree.
I'd rather her, especially if we're gonna make brand new characters in a show that don't exist in the universe and we're gonna bring them to live action. Like she deserves first.
Yep.
Just like her people.
She came out first. Yeah. Hey.
And she was very impressive. Very, very impressive. Like, yes, her.
It would also be a useful ability.
Oh yeah.
It might, but the problem I think is that maybe it becomes a little too redundant because it's similar to America Chavez's powers. Her basal level powers, not like what she became, not what Cohorty became, but like her first thing was like, oh, I make portals, and they go places. I'm a sling ring by myself.
Right. All right, y'all. We sorry. I'm sorry. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Oh no.
Okay. All right, y'all.
Well, actually, yes.
Okay.
So as of right now, this is just a number. This is just a numerical reading. As of right now, through 4 days of the opening weekend, Captain America: Brave New World has a global debut of 192.4 million.
Damn, it made
a couple of million above early estimates because the early estimates was like 190.
Wow.
And so they're actually doing slightly better. But we also know that one of the other things that's happening now is like critics are basically giving it like a 50, but audiences are giving it like a B. So like it's one of those classic things where like the critics, like when you look at something, scrutinize it a little too hard, you're going to come out with a lower score, but like audiences are generally going and enjoying the movie that they go to see.
Yeah.
So that actually means a good thing. They didn't make out totally with a profit right at this moment, but of course there's still time for it to flourish in the theaters.
Oh yeah.
Like the movie itself was budgeted for 180 million. So far they have made about $12.5 million more than the base budget for the movie. But you also have to take into account how much is spent for distributing, for marketing, because that doesn't get put into the budgeting cost. Budgeting cost is only like production stuff.
Yeah. They'll make their money back.
So they'll definitely make their money back. Hopefully they make a nice enough little profit at the end so that we can see this being a series.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, not a series, a movie saga.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up with this. Yes, let's continue to be black as possible. Enjoy the rest of Black History Month and because we're black, 365, 24/7. But always keep it black and proud.
Not having a whole discussion about Marvel, and he puts up a DC picture at the end because
that was the one I grabbed. Sorry, okay, but anyway,
we can't go a single show without mentioning DC. It's so bad.
But in Brightest Day and Darkest Night and all that. Yes, we say good night to y'all.
What's mine is mine, and mine and mine and mine.
Not yours. Exactly.
Orange Lantern.
But we will see y'all next time.
Oh my gosh.